Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in. We're looking at a pretty disturbing financial trend that has really exploded in 2026. But more importantly, we're going to walk through a concrete, step-by-step escape plan to protect your financial future. We're talking about the buy now, pay later crisis and how it's silently trapping millions of people. Let me ask you something. Have you bought groceries on an installment plan recently? Well, if you have, you are absolutely not alone. Right now, millions of Americans are quietly using buy now, pay later, or BNPL apps, just to afford basic survival necessities. Things like bread, milk, and gas. This isn't about spacing out payments for luxury items anymore. It's actually a massive, unseen financial crisis, and most people don't even realize how dangerous it truly is. So here's our game plan for today. We'll cover 1. The phantom debt trap, 2. The hidden dangers of BNPL, 3. A tutorial on deleting these apps, 4. A tutorial on building your cash buffers, and finally 5. Fixing the root cause. Okay, part 1. The phantom debt trap. Think back to the original purpose of apps like Afterpay, Klarna, and Affirm. They were really built for discretionary purchases, right? Splitting the cost of a new laptop, maybe a vacation, or a couch into 4 easy payments. But the reality in 2026 is a stark contrast. People are now using these exact same platforms for perishables, groceries, gas, literally just basic survival items. And honestly, using installment payments for things that disappear in a week, that is a 5-alarm warning sign about our overall financial health. Now, this shift is happening because of 3 compounding pressures hitting us all at once. First, food costs are up 3.2% over the past year. Second, credit card balances are hovering near record highs with average APRs soaring over 21%, which means available credit is effectively maxed out for a lot of folks. And wages, stubbornly stagnant against inflation. So people aren't just being financially irresponsible here, they are being completely squeezed. When the grocery bill comes due and the credit card gets declined, BNPL kind of feels like the only option left, just to put food on the table. This desperate struggle has actually birthed a phenomenon that financial experts are calling phantom debt. So phantom debt is basically debt that's scattered across multiple small accounts rather than being consolidated into one place like a traditional credit card statement. It's a total psychological trick. Spreading $400 across 5 different apps for your weekly groceries just doesn't feel like $400 in real debt, even though it absolutely is. And this isn't just a minor budgeting hiccup. The Federal Reserve actually flagged phantom debt explicitly in their 2026 research. Why? Because this hidden, scattered nature makes it nearly impossible for both consumers and lenders to accurately figure out a person's true financial obligations. This invisibility is the exact thing that causes well-meaning, hardworking people to accidentally overextend themselves without even realizing they're about to step right off a cliff. Moving on to part 2, the hidden dangers of BNPL. 25%. Honestly, that number should terrify anyone on a tight budget. If you miss a single payment on these platforms, you can get hit with late fees that often equal 25% or more of your original purchase. It's an absurd reality when you think about it. You're essentially paying a 25% penalty on milk and eggs just because your paycheck cleared a single day late. But it actually gets worse. Missing a BNPL payment for groceries can now directly damage your credit score, just like a missed credit card payment would. Crucially, longer-term BNPL loans are increasingly reporting to credit bureaus in 2026. Because getting approved initially doesn't usually require a hard credit check, it feels incredibly harmless at first. But a missed payment on bread and milk, that will be reported, and it can literally haunt your credit report for years, completely trashing your ability to rent an apartment or buy a car. All right, part 3, let's get into the practical stuff. Tutorial: delete BNPL apps. To escape this phantom debt trap, you've really got to just rip the bandage off. Step 1, immediately halt all new BNPL purchases for consumables. Just stop. Step 2, and this is absolutely vital, completely delete platforms like Afterpay, Klarna, and Affirm right off your phone. Just remove that temptation from your home screen entirely. And step 3, aggressively pay down what you owe. Look, even if it means a significantly harder week right now, you have to break the interface between you and this specific type of toxic debt. You literally have to force this break because financing consumables is fundamentally dangerous. Using debt to pay for things that disappear within days means you are paying interest and fees on value that is already gone. Unlike financing a car or a home, which actually retain value and give you ongoing utility, financing a tank of gas means you're paying for fuel weeks after it's already been burned through your exhaust pipe. It just doesn't make sense. Let's look at part 4, tutorial, build cash buffers. $500.
That is your initial goal right there. The ultimate objective here is to open a separate high-yield savings account that is specifically dedicated to necessities. We're talking groceries, gas, utilities. And you want to start by building an initial cash buffer target of exactly $500. This is going to be your frontline defense against ever needing to re-download one of those BNPL apps.
Now, how do you actually fund this when money is already super tight? Well, you start by being radically honest about your spending. Pull up your bank statements and track your actual grocery spending for the last 3 months. Calculate your true average monthly cost. Then, you make that exact amount a non-negotiable budget line item. You pay it first. Finally, stick to weekly meal plans. You really want to avoid those expensive, desperate last-minute grocery trips because they absolutely destroy budgets.
You can also leverage some smarter tools to stretch those budgeted dollars even further. Try using cashback grocery apps like Ibotta or Fetch Rewards. By simply scanning your receipts, you can actually recoup 2 to 5% on everyday purchases that you're making anyway. I know it sounds small, but that 5% funneled directly back into your $500 buffer account, that makes a massive difference over the course of a few months.
Moving forward, it really helps to think about organizing your money into 3 distinct categories. You have your standard emergency fund, your normal checking or operating cash, and then your dedicated necessities buffer. This buffer is completely separate from a traditional emergency fund. A traditional emergency fund is for, say, a blown transmission on your car. But this necessities buffer, this is meant to be used, depleted, and refilled every single month just to smooth out the bumps of everyday survival. To make this entirely foolproof, you need to automate it. Go ahead and set up an automatic transfer of $25 to $50 a week directly into that dedicated necessities account. By paying your buffer first, you ensure that when things get unexpectedly tight at the end of the month, you are reaching for your own real cash and not some toxic installment plan. Which brings us to part 5, fixing the root cause. Okay, so what if you still find yourself needing installment plans just to eat, even after doing all the right budgeting steps? Well, that is a critical signal. It means you aren't just facing a budgeting issue or a discipline issue. You are facing a structural income problem. Mathematically, your income just does not cover your basic cost of living.
And that requires much bigger structural fixes. A budget Band-Aid simply won't work here. You might need to look into picking up a temporary side hustle like delivery driving or freelancing just to bridge the gap. You've got to aggressively cut every single non-essential subscription. And on a macro level, you might even need to evaluate your living situation. If housing is eating up more than 35% of your income, exploring cheaper living arrangements could be the really difficult but absolutely necessary way out of this trap.
The overarching takeaway from this entire explainer is actually incredibly simple. And it's something I want you to remember every single time you check out at the store. Your basic survival needs must be funded by cash. They should never, ever require debt of any kind, no matter how small, manageable, or harmless those individual weekly payments might feel at the time. Phantom debt is still debt, and it will pull you under. We know times are historically tough out there right now. If you're feeling this pressure, please know you are not failing, and you are definitely not alone. But we need to talk about this stuff openly. So tell us honestly in the comments, have you had to use buy now, pay later for your groceries or gas recently? Sharing your story might just be the thing that helps someone else realize they need to break the cycle too. So what is your plan to step out of the phantom debt trap today?